The story of the Garden of Eden, particularly the role of the serpent, often conjures images of temptation and sin. But what if that narrative has been fundamentally misinterpreted? What if the serpent, or even figures like Lilith, were actually agents of higher consciousness, pushing humanity toward a deeper, more profound understanding of reality?
That's a truly profound way to look at it, Daniel. While the Bible doesn't explicitly name Lilith as the serpent in Genesis, various folklore and mystical traditions, especially within Jewish mysticism, often link her to the entity that tempted Eve. She is frequently depicted with serpentine characteristics, embodying themes of temptation and rebellion, but that rebellion can be reframed as a quest for autonomy and knowledge.
So instead of a purely malevolent force, we're talking about a figure who challenges the status quo. Where do these interpretations of Lilith as something more than just a biblical footnote originate?
The stories about Lilith often trace back to ancient Mesopotamian mythology, featuring female demons associated with storms and deserts. Later, in Jewish tradition, particularly in medieval texts like the Alphabet of Ben Sira, Lilith is described as Adam's first wife. The story goes that she refused to submit to him, demanding equality, and subsequently left Eden. Over time, this figure became associated with the serpent, embodying not just chaos and temptation, but also the disruption of a singular, established divine order, potentially to introduce a new one.
That's a fascinating evolution. It's almost like she represents a hidden chapter or a different path that was overwritten by the dominant narrative. And you suggested earlier that in certain esoteric and metaphysical circles, Lilith represents something even more complex, like a higher consciousness or a multi-dimensional being. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. In some esoteric interpretations, Lilith represents a force from a fifth dimension or a higher plane of existence. From this perspective, Adam and Eve represent the third dimension, a more limited physical reality. The fall isn't a mistake, but an awakening catalyzed by Lilith, a catalyst to push humanity beyond those conventional boundaries. She's not trying to trick them into sin, but to open their eyes to a wider reality.
That radically shifts the meaning of free will in the story. It implies the choice wasn't about obedience versus disobedience, but about embracing or rejecting an expansion of consciousness. And I understand you hold a similar view about the traditional figure of the devil as well.
Precisely. This interpretation aligns with certain esoteric traditions, where the adversary isn't a symbol of malice, but rather a bringer of enlightenment or forbidden illumination.